Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's Board of Trustees meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
He's actually making the very first, he's the presentation.
Would you mind grabbing that folder that I asked you to put together? I think it's in the office.
Oh, yeah. Dana, we got the big dog tonight. Just rolling on your chopper?
So we will begin tonight with the Employee of the Month, Stephen Elliston, who is a heavy equipment operator in the Highway Department. And Stephen was hired on March 14th, 2016. Now, we have some commentary from Ken Booth, who is nominating him for the position, and we could not be happier for Stephen to receive the Employee of the Month award. There's a number of reasons, but Stephen has performed noteworthy acts. He has done a job performance above and beyond the call of duty, and he represents outstanding support and teamwork within the department. Thank you, Julie. This was a newsworthy event, but on November 14th, a humpback whale washed up on Halsey Neck Beach. Stephen had to remove the whale from the waters, edging using a backhoe. After the Riverhead Foundation completed their necropsy, Stephen dug an enormous hole to be the final resting place for this animal. I'm confident that Stephen's unmatched skill as an operator made this situation much easier and better for all involved. So, Ken Booth, thank you for the nomination. Stephen, congratulations. This award is for you. I do not know if Stephen is here tonight, but this is for him. That was a newsworthy story and something that happens from time to time, and we have an amazing highway department and DPW department, and Stephen represents how strong our department is through his actions. So I will pass this along. Thank you. So, I noticed there was an item missing from the agenda tonight, but I wanted to start off tonight with a mayoral appointment. And this is a decision that takes significant time to make, and this is due to no one other except the really great job of this person. And so I'd like to put forward a name tonight, and this person is Mimi Michelle Guerra. And this is a person who has been a long-standing member of our team. She has someone who has been here for well over a decade, who is the person that is unanimously respected by our residents and our stakeholders, and who has done the best possible job. And as mayor, I'm going to need somebody, and we're going to need somebody that could help us accomplish our goals, which we've stated, which are to bring vibrancy to our downtown, to implement our sewer district, to help us with our master plan, to clean our water, to clean Lake Agawam, which is one of the most polluted bodies of water in the state, to bring openness to our government, and we are going to need this person. Whether it's her unmatched work ethic, whether it's her commitment to the fifth grade football program. She has stepped up during Eileen's retirement. She has stepped up again to help train Master Sergeant Kathy Sweeney, who will be appointing as her deputy clerk. She has done it all. And she has been an amazing help. And I believe that she will be an amazing liaison with our departments. I know that I'm going to need her help. We all are going to need her help when it comes to being a liaison with our police department, our fire departments, our DPW departments. Mimi was instrumental this year in bringing back Christmas to the Windward Way Park. She might be, I don't know if she's here tonight, she might be even baking cookies right now for that. But ultimately, tonight, I'm going to put her name forward to be our village administrator. So with that being said, I'm going to make a motion to appoint Mimi for a one-year term ending June 30th, 2020 to be our village administrator. Do I have a second?
Second.
So we can take a vote. No, you're out of order. We're going to take a vote if we need to discuss. I will call on you. I just want to take the vote, and then we can have a discussion after, and we can take it to a vote again.
Point of order?
Yeah.
I recommend if we're going to discuss some personal issues, and maybe want to go into executive session for this.
Make a motion to go to executive session.
I make a motion that we go. No, I'm going to do that. We're going to go to executive session and discuss.
This is, I'd like to be recognized by the,
Okay.
this has nothing to do with the appointment. This has to do more with the law, and I'd like to address our assistant village attorney if possible.
Which is what we're going to do in executive session.
This does not have to do with personnel, it has to do with the law.
So that's fine.
So thank you for allowing me to be recognized, and I will now continue to finish so I don't get interrupted. Years ago, the village administrator was created as a position, and I believe it was done by the board. So I'd like to know, and it combined a few positions. Are we allowed as a board tonight to go ahead and split those without anything else?
I'd be happy to answer that question.
Excuse me, you're out of order, and I have the floor, and I directed this at the village attorney, and I would like to hear her position as a legal individual. I don't believe you have a law degree.
In 2010, the law was amended.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
In 2010, the law was amended, and it appears that the positions that you're referring to, the administrator, the clerk, and the treasurer positions were broken up. However, we're still in the early stages of determining factually what happened after 2010 to confirm sort of I'd say the procedures and where the current administrator, what his exact title is.
And then will you be writing a legal written opinion for the board on this?
Once we have all of the facts.
Wonderful. Then I would like to make a motion to table this until we have the facts from the village attorney.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have discussion here. A couple of quick things here. So I've pulled all of the minutes. I also spoke with our labor counsel, Vince Toomey, whose recommendation was just make sure you have the votes. But this is to me, again, I could be mistaken, but this seemed like a clean appointment here. I believe that the issue at stake here is over a different position. That is the clerk treasurer position. So there's two positions. There's one appointment. There's the village administrator, and there's the clerk treasurer. And to back that up, I've pulled minutes from the 2015 organizational meeting, the 2017 organizational meeting, and the 2018 organizational meeting. Now, what I found here, which is quite interesting and almost confusing, is that in 2015, then Mayor Mark Epley appointed Steve Funch for a one-year term to be the village administrator, and then to a two-year term for the combined position of clerk and treasurer. Now, again, we're talking about village administrator tonight, not the clerk treasurer role. That was a two-year appointment. So I then go to 2017, and I'm just going to pass this along. We can put this on the screen here. I don't know if you want to give this to Julie here.
I don't know if are we?
It's minutes. It's public information. It's on the village website. So that's the 20. This is quite interesting. I'm sorry. That's the 2018, and also I'd like to put the 2017. So again, this is a different issue, but we'll highlight because I think this is what you're alluding to. So in 2017, and I'll pass these around here, Stephen Funch was appointed to be a village administrator for a one-year term by then Mayor Michael Irving. And then Michael Irving, in 2017, also appointed him to be a two-year term to be village treasurer. And now I don't know how this happened, but he's here tonight. There was no appointment of clerk. There was no appointment to clerk treasurer. So I would like to know where's the clerk here. But there is no clerk in this appointment. I see the deputy village clerk, Eileen Musara, for a one-year appointment. And so ultimately that's in 2017. And then I checked the notes for 2018. Steve Funch, once again, appointed to a one-year term to village administrator. And then, again, there's no clerk treasurer here. So I'd still like to know where's the clerk. But again, there's a deputy clerk here. Kimberly Allen, I see you're appointed, just happens to be here to a committee. But ultimately, that was where this works. So again, we are just simply going for a clean one-year appointment to the village administrator role. Tonight, on the advice of council, we're not going to touch the clerk treasurer role. That is a different role altogether. But it seems like it maybe was even unknowingly broken up here. That, again, I can't comment on, but if you look at the minutes, there's no appointment to clerk treasurer. We believe by resolution this is something that can be unwound if need be, but ultimately the minutes here are this is black and white here, so ultimately it is here. So listen, this is a board decision. I think Mimi is the best person for the job. Ultimately, it is the mayor's responsibility to work closely with the village administrator. Russell, for this time, you'll maintain your role as clerk treasurer. And again, this is simply, as the duly elected mayor, it is my right and opportunity to make a mayoral appointment. And this is my appointment. If the board would like to go to executive session to discuss this, I'd be more than happy to. Again, this is a team effort. It is a team vote. All we have is this board here, and we need 3 votes to pass anything. And unlike someone like a president of the United States or other roles, I can't make anyone acting. I can't do that. I don't have veto power. If mayor, in order to do anything, we must have 2 votes. Our supporters must have 2 votes, and this community must have 2 votes. And without those 2 votes, we have nothing. And so, if you'd like to go to executive session, I'd be happy to make a motion to go to executive session.
Yep. Go ahead.
May I be recognized?
Sure.
Thank you. So I appreciate you reaching out to me. I believe it was 2 days ago for Mimi, who I very much value, and I believe a former trustee who was my father was instrumental in hiring Mimi. And as you know, I think very favorably of Mimi. Having said that, I do think that we as a village need to have a comprehensive plan for our entire village organization, and I think we need better communication and collaboration. The position you expressed to me is now different, and I'm hearing it for the first time, and I don't wing it, and I really would like to understand this better. We also have several other open positions and many holdovers, and I think we, as you just said, with communication and collaboration, can get there. I am not saying no to Mimi. I'm saying let's understand Mimi in a broader context. For example, what is your thinking of an organizational structure? We all have a vision, and I think we should all be part of that vision. What are you trying to accomplish, and what do you think Mimi's position will accomplish vis-a-vis what we as a village are trying to accomplish? You're doing so much good work on sewage and revitalization, but we need to put it all together. The other is, what other positions do you have planned? What will this cost be? And how do we expect to pay for it? What's in our budget? And has this additional expense been evaluated against other needs? I'm not talking about Mimi, I'm talking about our house, our village house. So let's understand our village house collectively. I don't like to vote on something I just found out about 2 minutes ago, and I'm sorry about that. So I would like to collaborate and make this a good decision for the village and the taxpayers and the community.
And my response to that is, first, the question is, what is Mimi's role and what is the role of village administrator? Now, ultimately, you do know that role. We currently have a village administrator, and you work with that person on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So that role would not change. It would be the same exact role that you know and have worked with for the last 2.5 years. As for the question of the cost of the role, well, it is all public information. our current village administrator and clerk treasurer, I believe approximately, again, it's all public information, could be found online, makes $175,000 per year. Mimi, who does everything in this village, who also holds multiple titles. She's the deputy registrar. She is the tax receiver. She is a community liaison. She makes $72,000 per year.
I believe we're heading to something that should be discussed in
Yes, that's why I
executive
really,
session.
Okay.
I really think this should be put into an executive session.
Okay, we can move this into
Discussion.
executive
I believe
So
session.
right now, we have a motion and a second to table the resolution. Does someone want to withdraw that for right now?
I'm happy to go to executive session. I would love to discuss. We can.
So the question is, there's a motion and a second to table the resolution. We either act on that resolution, or it can be withdrawn, and then we can move on to the resolution to move into executive session. So that's...
I will withdraw to move into executive session.
So is there a motion to move into executive session?
Motion to move into executive
Is
session.
there a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So,
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to go back into public session at 6:45 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we went into executive session to discuss. We had reached out to our labor council. Despite, again, this is a board decision. So I'm going to go with what the board would like. And we are going to table this appointment for another date. It is my job to work with the board, and while I feel strongly about a particular person, we are going to wait, and we are also going to get a written decision from council, so we'll all be able to see that. And so we'll do that. What we did discover, however, is that there is, as I pointed out, there is inconsistent work that demonstrates that the positions were separated in 2017. Again, perhaps unknowingly, it occurred. It's in the minutes. But we do not want to be inconsistent like past resolutions. We do not want to be inconsistent like some of our code is, and we will have to rewrite our code because our code is sloppy. We discussed that in executive session. The resolutions are inconsistent. So with that said, however, I would like to pass a resolution that we retain special counsel to review all resolutions for the last decade, considering the mistakes that we are finding in our resolutions. So, with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution to retain special counsel to review past resolutions. Is there a second?
Is there a particular name? Because you would need to have a name to bring forward on the resolution.
Okay. We will bring forward Scott Middleton to do so.
Can I be recognized?
Yes.
Counselor?
First, there needs to be a second.
There needs
First.
to be a second before.
Is there a second?
second.
Okay.
Discuss.
Counselor,
Yes. What,
your opinion on this?
on reviewing resolutions?
Now, on reviewing, hiring someone to look over the code over the last 10 years at just this motion being brought up right here. What's your opinion on that, please?
Well, bringing the motion is okay. The content is okay. And it would be the board's prerogative to retain special counsel to review the resolutions.
Andrew?
Any idea of cost to the village and the taxpayers to try and do this?
Well, when we had Governor Cuomo here doing his pilot program for Lake Agawam, I heard him say, we have to clean our water. This is something we cannot afford not to do, to which I would say that same thing. And obviously, council charges approximately $225 per hour. That's general municipal rate, so I'm sure that's what it would cost us. Maybe an associate would be a bit less.
Can we get an estimate of what it would be to the taxpayer, just so we could understand what I mean, I would like to see what the impact would be.
I'd prefer to just take this to a vote. This is pretty clear, so you're welcome to vote no.
I don't plan on voting no. This is the first time I'm hearing about it, and again, it's about the process and how to understand what is being brought in front of us.
Is there any other comments from the board about this?
The only question I'd have is I believe in, unless we want to clean it up afterwards, that we would need to have a firm, rate. If we recall, we had to do it twice when we hired counsel for our administrative boards because we hired them. We didn't have a rate, and then we came back the next time and we had to do a rate. So we could do it. We could do this twice, or if we do know the rate, we could put that in the resolution.
But
That's my
we have moved
recommendation.
forward in the past with not knowing rates on particular council and advisory things, so I don't have a problem moving along with the motion to bring some review process, and then if we don't have a set rate, we can, again, reassess that.
Any other comments from the board? Trustee Parrish, what's your decision on this one?
It seems like it's possible to go ahead and take this to a vote.
Okay. And I also, okay, that would be great. With that said, I'd like to make a motion to pass a resolution to hire special counsel to review all resolutions for the last 10 years.
So the motion that was on the floor before was similar to that. You did put a rate in. Do you want to leave the rate in, or do you want to leave the rate out?
We'll leave the rate out for now.
Okay.
And it's
For Scott Middleton.
May I be recognized?
Sure, please.
Do we not have, when we hire attorneys, I thought we hire either an attorney at a rate or attorney at a cap, because I remember we did that for the ethics attorney. We actually said it's not going to go over X, and we did that for another attorney, it's not going to go over X. So I think we need a little more due diligence to do this, and I think it is very important to look at this and determine that we have inconsistencies. But I don't know if we want to go back 10 years, and I don't know if we want to not set a cap.
Would you like to go back 5 years? Okay, if you. Well, you tell us how many
is
years.
this an
I'm
open
happy to
discussion?
modify. Yeah, please.
So I don't know the extent of the issue. Again, I'm hearing about this for the first time. My grandfather was at Pearl Harbor. Now I know how he feels or felt. But I do feel we need to do this. May we table this and discuss the number of years, the cap we wish to put, and we can bring it up the very next time or have a special session on it.
You know, it's
Why do we have to rush everything through without thinking about it, which is our job?
Well, one reason in particular is that I received an email this morning that stated that we want to avoid any serious detrimental consequence to both the legal position and professional environment. So if there's such a detrimental, problem here, I think that the potential for the proposals to affect past action of the village clerk. If this is what is happening, I think we really need to move. Again, I'm happy to table this, but we're going to have to go back into public session anyway at some point to do it. Again, I'm board decision. You guys tell me.
Was that written by an attorney, that opinion that you just referenced?
No, that was, I forwarded the email.
But was that
today.
written by an attorney?
No, that was not written by an
Okay.
attorney. That was written, okay. That was written by a village employee.
So we have a motion and a second to hire the firm, or Scott Middleton, or is it the firm of Middleton and
Campola Middleton.
Campola Middleton.
Well, would you like to move forward with this resolution? Would you like to table it?
Let's table it, and I would like us to address this, but let's table it and discuss it like we do everything else in our fiduciary role properly.
Trustee Parrish, move forward to table.
She brings up some good points. You brought up some good points, but I would like to have a little bit better scope of what you really want to go forth with.
Okay.
I would agree. I think that there needs further discussion on this so we can understand exactly what you're looking for in the last 10 years. And I think it just makes sense for the due diligence and the fiduciary responsibility that each one of us have up here to the village of Southampton.
Okay. That's fine. We'll table it again. This is a board. It's a board decision. As I said, as mayor, I am one voice. I'm the center chair, but I am not the village. We hope. So with that said, we'll table it. And at this point,
So is there a motion?
All right,
Is
so
there a
the motion-
to table?
All right. So the motion currently was seconded, which I seconded to go for which
That's correct.
which I would have no problem looking into,
Okay.
retaining an attorney to look for decisions, which I was here for a lot of, so I don't have a problem going under scrutiny. The pay, we could go back and revisit, as you said, so I don't have a problem doing that, but I guess that's, is that what you're withdrawing, Mayor, that we're not even going to?
we're just going to withdraw it.
Okay.
And bring it back again.
They're deciding.
Okay. So now we'll
bring it
move
back.
forward with public comment tonight. Anyone wishing to address the board must sign in the front table to be recognized by the mayor. 3 minutes per speaker. Please approach the podium and state your
Did
name
you withdraw the motion?
and address.
Oh, wait a second, did you?
Yes, he withdrew.
He withdrew?
The mayor withdrew the motion.
We've got first who signed in. We've got Grant Wellman, 38 Nugent Street.
Mr. Mayor, this is the presentation.
Okay, if you're a presentation, we'll move forward with other public comments. I can't read the name, but it's someone at 209 Bishops. Is that person still here? Okay, thank you.
My name is Frances Genovese. My handwriting is usually very clear. I live at 209 Bishop's Lane, and I came here to speak on something completely different. But it's been an experience watching this board tonight. I think that if you are going to look for a historical record of resolutions, what you're looking for is a clarity and precedent. Is that correct? You can save yourself and the village a lot of money by dumping that problem into any one of a series of law schools, law classes on Long Island or at NYU. Give it to them as a problem, they'll look at it. But you know what I really see as the problem? I don't think that there's any good faith on this board. I think that you are just enacting some kind of a ritual of opposition, and it's boring and annoying. There are really serious problems here, especially about money. Like, one of the things that I'm confused about, no matter how you vote, is that if you divide a position so you get, two people doing the same job, does the person who had half of the position taken away from them get half of the salary? That's what it sounds like from back there. That's the kind of thing we're interested in. But as far as I can see, this is a useless exercise here, and you're wasting time and money.
Thank you, Francis. I would add, what is unfortunate is that this is nothing more than exactly what you'll see on TV in Washington, D.C. It's the same exact thing. It is no different here.
We don't need to talk
Please don't yell out. Please do not yell out.
Okay. Next up is, I believe, Valerie Hart, 218 Corrigan.
I'm going to wait till the presentation.
Okay.
On Moses.
It's a presentation, it's not a public comment, so I would recommend.
I'd like to hear it, so then I can comment after at the end.
The second
Public comment.
Yeah, second public comment.
Good.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward for public comment? Okay. If there's no one further, we can move to board presentations. Moses Lane, a raised design.
Good evening, Mayor Warren and fellow board members. My name is Grant Wellman of Eris Design. I'll be presenting the construction plan that we've prepared for the Moses Lane Park. I'll do my best to maximize this on the screen. Okay, so the park, as you know, contains 3 tennis courts and 4 bocce courts. Given the fact that the site is undeveloped and the sensitive ecological nature of the site, we've done our best to minimize any impacts that any hardscape might have, and we've used green, oh, thank you.
Laser pointer.
That would be great. And we've used some green infrastructure, as we call it, to mitigate some of those impacts. So just to walk you through a couple of those measures, the entire driveway, except for the ADA accessible parking and the apron, will be permeable gravel construction. We've also used permeable gravel construction on the lanes between the bocce courts, and we've used what we call bioswales instead of traditional drainage structures. So that works to collect the stormwater runoff instead of concentrating it into a precast dry well. The water will sheet flow off the court and travel down these lanes here and over here, and they'll make their way to the natural drainage pattern of the property, which is from high to low as we're moving this way. We will then seed this area, as it will be disturbed from the construction, with a native seed mix, which is really the most cost-effective method of converting this into what essentially will become a rain garden to handle the stormwater runoff. And with that, if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Is there any, I guess we'll start with some board questions. Is there any questions from the board?
No, I don't have any.
Is there any questions from the public?
If the presentation's over, if you wanted to go back into public comment, we could do that.
I think Trustee Polaro had a question.
No, this is a board presentation, so there shouldn't really be comments, correct, Counselor?
From the public?
From the public on, it's not a dialogue, from my understanding. If we go back into public session, then they can make comments on it.
Public portion, right?
Public portion, so.
Gary, yes.
Just to foresee any possible questions that might come in the way, the walking trail, actually, Gary, can you help me with this? I believe it's partially under construction, correct?
I didn't hear the question.
It's in reference to the walking trail material.
The walking trail material is millings from our surrounding roads. We have been taking that as a free material and spreading it around the property. That walking trail is about 75% completed. It's rough right now. There's more work that needs to be done to it still. I also wanted to just add on the tennis courts. You are seeing 3 tennis courts, but in the bid spec, it will be spec'd out as 2 tennis courts with an option for a 3rd. So that way the board can determine if they want 2 or 3 at the end based on the cost. And also what we asked the res to do is to, instead of having the sunken tennis courts for the sound, we brought them up to grade. That helped with the drainage, getting rid of all the drainage structures, saves us money, better for the environment. And what we did is just to the south of there, we put in a 4-foot wide berm to handle some of the noise that would go to the street.
4-foot high berm.
4 foot.
Thank you. Any comments from the board?
The only reason that I stated what I did earlier is to make sure that we were following proper procedure within our meetings.
Okay.
I know that is an issue that we have faced in the past.
Thank you very much for that. Okay. Any additional questions or comments?
No, I was just going to ask what had been altered since the beginning, and Gary just answered that. So we went from sinking them to now putting that. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is discussion items. The first one is Rosenbauer T-Rex aerial and additional capital equipment. Chief Stevens.
Mr. Mayor, did you want to, just because we do know that there is at least one person that wants to make a public comment about this, instead of making that person wait until the end of the meeting, would you want to allow that person to come up and speak now? It's your
Well, no, that's what I was just going to ask, because I thought we were
Yes.
allowing the
I have
lady.
no problem with that.
Okay. So,
Okay, all right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
yep.
Rosemary, you boys are up.
Manny, good to see you.
Good to see you, Chief. I mean, Mayor. I'm Trustees.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'm out to you. And
We'll go first because I want to know what the extra equipment is.
Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Want to hear about a fire truck? Quite nice. I got that picture.
Floor is all yours.
good evening, Mayor and Trustees. Many of you know my name, Manny Escobar, Second Assistant Chief of Southampton Fire Department. And we're here to discuss and go over the of a lovely brand new truck that's coming. It's on the way, Rosenbauer ladder truck, and I'm excited. I'm actually excited, and looking forward to present to you guys when it gets here. And so we're just gonna go over the truck, and I want to discuss that we do have a lot of items, POs, that we want to equip this truck. This truck is going to be very diverse compared to what we had from Unit 16. So new radios, new tools that we didn't have before. And I think it's just going to be a well-equipped truck for our district and outside the district. I know our membership are very excited as well, and to get going. I'm going to pass this on to our chairman of the truck committee, and
So before it gets passed on, as behind the first purchase order, you will see, I think, 3 others, one of which is getting getting pulled for right now.
That's the one with the sniffer and the
Correct, the sniffer. But the others that talk about equipping the new truck, they're seeking to use capital reserve funds to put those final items to complete the truck. So I just wanted to let the board know that that's. Okay, so.
thank you.
Okay. Edward Corrigan, 30-year member of Southampton Hook and Ladder Company Fire Department. Approximately 3.5 years ago, the department voted to replace a ladder truck that we have that was nearing replacement. After approximately 18 to 24 months of due diligence, shopping, researching, and looking for fire trucks, we moved forward with a Rosenbauer T-Rex, which was presented to this board back in the spring of 2018. First presentation started in May of 2018 and was finally approved in July of 2018. We're here now as the truck is finally completed in construction and being delivered within the next 10 days. Should be here by next weekend. It was scheduled to be shipped this past Monday, but due to the magnitude of the truck and the process it's been, it's the first Rosenbauer truck that Southampton's buying. We asked to do a 4th and final inspection on the truck back out at the factory to make sure everything was okay before it was actually shipped. So what I have tonight is a couple of pictures through the process. The picture here was taken when the last final piece was the cab being delivered to the factory. This was its raw cab in April of 2019. This was approximately about a week and a half later. The cab moved inside and started painting. While this was going on, they were also working on the engine and the frame rails that we'll see further down the line. So construction on the truck, this is the crane section of the truck that we actually do the aerial work with in the buckets. That's an overview from the top of the bucket when we were out for midpoint inspection in August. We can have vertical reach of 115 feet and horizontal reach of 105 feet. There's actually our fire commissioner in the bucket during the demo. Again, to the magnitude of it, we asked the fire commissioner to go out and see the factory and the truck as it was being built. Again, that's us inspecting the engine around it and going over the truck. We were there for 3 days in August inspecting and going over this truck. That was all put to bed from that final inspection. We actually took the truck for a drive around the neighborhood there that day. Then after we left, they then started building the toolboxes. So this is now back inside, putting the toolboxes on the truck for us. This was at an inspection a couple weeks ago. All the toolboxes were complete. It was dubbed as the final inspection, but we had a punch list that we actually went back out this past Monday, as I was saying. And there's our front grille. We had the American flag conceptually put in with Southampton written in the grille. And I think that's the last photo I have. So we're here tonight to let you know that the truck is finally complete. It was approved back in July of 2018, and today is, I guess, authorizing the signing of the check. That will need to be handed off when the truck is delivered in the next 10 days. And then outside of that were additional POs of asking for additional tools for the truck. The truck that's being replaced, as I mentioned, is coming up on 25 years old. It was a knee-jerk reaction due to the insurance qualifications. We have fire insurance ratings that are done periodically. The residents of the village, the fire department, overlay district, and all of us received a discount in our line item for fire protection if Southampton had purchased the ladder truck 25 years ago. So they purchased it and then have always been sort of handing down tools to the truck over the course of the last 20 years. So it was never properly outfitted because it was a sort of a knee-jerk reaction originally 25 years ago. With this purchase, we're looking to make it right and officially outfit the truck with all of its proper tools, state-of-the-art tools. Radios have been updated and redesigned and all sorts of other things along the way. And I don't know if you need to go through each and every PO.
I don't.
Is there?
I don't. I don't necessarily. That's up to you. They have copies of them. One is about the. The VHF mobiles for the cab crew, the pump panel and the bucket, portable chargers, 6 for the cab, 1 for the bucket. It was purchased off of New York State OGS contracts, and the other, you could see quite a lengthy punch list from adapters to long handles and spanners and wrench holder sets and saw packages and abrasive blades and all the things that you can see that are attached in your package there. So the total that they're looking to ask that the village board pass a resolution to spend out of fire truck capital reserve is $78,089. What I will mention is that over the past couple of years, the village has put additional monies aside in fire truck reserve for the express purpose of knowing that this truck was coming. So there was at least planning from the standpoint of savings. So, the funding is present. We do have a very strong contract and great relationship with the Southampton Fire District. I don't know if people here are aware that we receive approximately $1 million a year from the Southampton Fire District, which is the area that the fire department covers outside of the village. So that's really the backup on that. The other thing I think is worth noting now, because there's a resolution later on, it's just as easy to explain now. The way the contract works is that we need to pay the amount in full upon delivery. However, there is approximately $18,000 worth of work that is contracted to be done once it arrives here in Southampton. So the company that has gotten paid for that work is writing us a check for $18,000, for which we will hold until which time the truck is completed, and then we'll release that check back to them. So later on, there's a resolution on that. We might as well cover that now. So.
Okay. Just add that the amount we're looking for, again, no money was outlaid for this truck. That was a contract, the people, Rosenbauer constructing it. This is basically, it's a COD, so that's why the amount is in full, because they produced this and got to this point without any outlay of money from us. So now they're delivering it, and now we're paying.
Trustee Colon.
Congratulations. That's exciting, and getting it kitted out right and properly the first time, always good to do. So I'm happy about that. It's great to have. Hopefully you don't have to use it often.
That's our goal.
That's the goal always. What happens to the old truck and the old equipment and all of that from it?
So the old truck, I don't know exactly when, if it was this board or the previous board, actually surplused that truck, which gave us the ability to sell it. We've been heavily marketing that truck, and we are in the final stages of potentially having a buyer.
Great.
To go ahead. It was almost looking like one was leaving and one was arriving. That's got delayed a little bit, but we're quite confident the old one is sold.
Fantastic.
They were here. The group that wanted to or wants to buy it was here Saturday, while some of us were actually flying out to the factory. And that group actually spent 8 hours at our firehouse interacting, going through, looking over the truck, and they came back with 5 items that they wanted either repaired or price on repair, which our central garage is now looking into.
Great.
So we hope to have that answer very soon.
Thank you.
Trustee Allen?
Did you, also congratulations.
Thank you.
But
You were
I
here
have-
for the original presentation.
I know,
so
but I
all the
have
work
to
that
be
went in.
picky about the budget, and I know you have the money set aside, so we're not digging into a number that we didn't anticipate. So 2 questions. One is, when you went out recently, did you bring anybody from Central Garage? Because they're going to be, you did.
Yes.
Very
You know we
good.
did.
Very
You
good.
think you had to ask that?
Well, I did have to ask that.
Well, to
Actually,
be honest
May
with
I
you,
add? May I add something?
they came back with the punch list
Yeah.
because he went out the last time, and he told me it was 24 items, and they said they would take pictures, and I said unacceptable. You're going back, and they went back, and everything's good.
Thank you,
I'd
Chief.
also like to add and give kudos to our village employee who works at Central Garage, who also happens to be a volunteer fireman, and Mark Maddock, and he went out as a fireman, even though he could have had the right to say, I am representing the village as an employee, and have gotten paid as a, for the time he was there. He volunteered and said, no, I'm going to wear my volunteer fireman's hat.
Good point. Thank you for mentioning that, Russ.
But the second question was, and that was a question we had last year, was the warranty on the truck. And we didn't know it at the time. I think you answered that question, but I have to ask it again.
Yes, so there's a couple of different warranties going on the truck. There is a 24-month bumper-to-bumper warranty held by Rosenbauer. The diesel engine has a 5-year warranty with Cummins, the manufacturer of the diesel engine. The transmission, Allison transmission, again, it's in the contract as to what that is, but it's standard warranty with Allison manufacturing. The pump is a Hale pump, and again, that is then warranted by the Hale Manufacturing Group. So it's a couple of different warranties slicing down. I apologize, I don't know the full detail at the moment.
Pretty
but
good. But we would have to plan 2 years out for the warranties that expire with respect to Central Garage and their purchasing of potential.
Yeah, there will be.
Well, that's one good thing about Mark being involved with that, because all this warranty information will be at Central Garage, so we don't have the chaotic confusion we've had in the past with those things.
And Rosenbauer is hosting classes back at their factory to actually train all mechanics to eventually work on the truck as well. I say all mechanics at Central Garage. So they will be flying out there. The other neat thing that the new board members should know is that this truck actually has a dedicated cell phone to it. When we start the truck up, it actually pops up on a computer screen in front of an engineer, and an engineer is monitoring the truck while we're using it. Anything that goes wrong, they're in live feed with us to actually tell us what components have failed on the truck. The committee actually, we drove down to Maryland 2.5 years ago and actually spent 6 hours using one of these trucks. And they had told us they'd only had one failure in the 5 years they were using it. They didn't even know the piece had failed. Their central mechanics phone started ringing. It was the engineer in Germany calling them to say, we're actually dropping a solenoid in the mail to you. You'll have it in 2 days. It's bop, 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 down the line. And that's been the only thing they had wrong with the truck in the 5 years from when we were looking at it. So it's been pretty impressive.
Definitely. If I could say just one thing, it's, and I commend you guys for the due diligence you put into it. As you see, I went on one of the mid trips, and I had never done that before, and I was impressed with I know the process from this side of it, and sitting up here and being involved as your commissioner and purchase part and the investigative work, but seeing the actual operation of it, the construction of it, and where it comes from, and the people behind it, it's made here in the U.S. I mean, I was very impressed with the operation, so, and the company and the process. So I think you guys really chose well with this particular apparatus that will serve the community. I'm confident extremely well. So again, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everything you guys do. Good to see you, Manny. Tony, thank you.
I'd like to ask if the board would like to entertain a motion to establish a capital reserve budget in capital reserve fire truck in an amount not to exceed $80,000 for the purposes of supplying the finishing work and equipment needed for the new aerial ladder.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. Trustee Yastrzemski.
Aye.
Trustee Allen.
Aye.
Mayor Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Parrish.
Aye.
Trustee Calero.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You'll see us again real soon.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Chief. Our next discussion item is the bid results for the Pyrus Concert Phase 1 lumber contract and windows contract.
On December 10th, we had a bid opening for Pyrus Concert Phase 1. In the lumber contract, we had 2 bids, Borough Sawmill and Timber, $10,411.50. Carter Mellons, Inc., $43,266. That contract is for the additional lumber that was calculated to be needed in addition to the existing timbers that exist from the original Pierce Concert House. We also opened a bid for the windows contract. There'll be windows obviously for the entire structure. We had 4 bids. Spionk Lumber, $29,440. Nathan Tuttle Woodworking, $32,500. Germano Builders, Inc., $37,650. Carter Mellons, $68,400. We are reviewing these contracts for completeness, so we do not have a report as of yet as to whether or not the bid was filled out in proper form and and would be deemed complete and acceptable. We will report back to the board on that matter, but since we had the bid opening, it is my responsibility to report the bid amounts to the public.
Thank you, Russell. Any comments, questions from the board?
Brenda, you were at the bid opening, correct? Good.
All I'd like to say is, Brenda, you know how committed we are to this, and we're getting this done. That's my goal, and it's our goal. So we will keep you posted. We appreciate all your hard work and patience that you've had throughout this long process, and I do feel optimistic about it, and I'd love nothing more than to see this home be rebuilt. So we think we have good news, but we'll keep pushing. But thank you for your hard work. Okay, next is our public hearing, local law, vacant buildings and storefronts. So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to open the hearing.
Can I just get my folder when we walked out? I left it. and
I'll get it.
bring
I'll get it.
Oh, thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Should we talk about the updates, or?
Well, I sent you all an email on December 9th with a copy of East Hampton's legislation at the last public hearing on this proposed law. The mayor had expressed an interest in simplifying what was currently being proposed and perhaps adopting something more in line with what East Hampton has. So what I can tell you about the East Hampton law, if you would like a quick synopsis of that, is that they require a screen for all vacant buildings, which is defined as, no business, commercial activities for more than 2 weeks. A vacant building will have to have screen with graphics or posters or merchandise, which is to be placed at least 4 feet away from the window, in which case you would not need a permit. So that's essentially the East Hampton law in a nutshell. Ours is a little bit more complicated. It has several more definitions. So I will be holding office hours next week if you have more specific questions. And at this point, I think I need guidance from this board as to where you want to go with the legislation.
All right. Do we have any guidance for Deputy Attorney Halsey Storch? We do want to get this through, so is there anything you guys would like to add?
There's nothing to add. I mean, I
like deputy.
The simpler, the better. The simpler, the better in my mind with regards to storefronts. I know that there was talk about, vacancy versus unoccupied and all of that. So there might need to be some definition clarification, but the simpler, the better in my mind for this. Absolutely.
If we were to take this to a vote at the next meeting, how would you feel about that? I mean, I'd like to get some consensus here, so we know what to expect, and if we take it to a vote, we want to know where our trustees are at. So
as long as we see the law in enough time to read it, look at it, and understand it, I don't see why we couldn't get it to a vote at the next meeting.
I mean, do you need more time? Have you had enough time?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, sure,
what are you referring to? Are you referring to the legislation that the public hearing is about? You're asking whether they're prepared to vote on?
I just want to make sure that we are ready to go for our next meeting. This is an important piece of legislation. It requires our stores to put some type of screening up or artwork. The Southampton Art Center has volunteered its art to create an interactive art exhibit for those who are interested. But my concern is that it's time to move forward with this. We've had this on our plates for a number of months now. So I just want to make sure that we can all put our collective work together, talk to our attorney, and make sure that we're in shape, whether it's this legislation or a new piece of legislation. So we're ready to go. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Southampton Arts Center and the Southampton Arts Association is meeting with Alexandra and anyone else on this board or in the community who wishes to be part of it. And at your open session, I think they're coming back to us with a specific time. They've piloted, and the landlord who piloted along with the Southampton Artists Association will be joining in that meeting. So we'll have people who really did it, who can say, yes, 4 feet makes sense, and they will have a copy of this draft legislation, which looks very nicely streamlined. Thank you. But I think we should definitely have that feedback session. I appreciate you opening up that session for 2 hours, so we have the right people coming, and the answer is, let's see what they say. But obviously, we want our village to look fabulous.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Any other?
Mayor, so when you're asking if we're ready to move forward, as it's written right here, your counselor just said about bringing some suggestions back from, you're simplifying points of East Hampton, which is what I would like. Is that currently in this, or that's something you want to? Okay,
No, if we want to make changes, then we would have to renotice the law. So we would have to take that into consideration if you want to vote on it at the next meeting. So as it's written now, as what's being proposed right now, it's very, very different from the East Hampton law. And, you know.
So kind of answer your question, then no, not, since I want to see it more in line with East Hampton, so we can't vote on this next, or I wouldn't do it, because I'd like to see what our counselor, I think what we also, we want to kind of dumb down a little bit and simplify.
Exactly. I agree with you. I think we need to renotice this and make changes. But I'd like to just, I mean, we could do it now, we could do it later, but I'd love to just get, some consensus here as to what changes we'd like to make. I mean, ultimately, I have no problem using the same exact law that East Hampton uses. I think that's the simplest and easiest thing to do. But I would just like to make sure that we're okay with that. We'll renotice it, but then we renotice it with the East Hampton changes. We will then need to take a vote on it. So I do need some input. We need input as to know whether we're comfortable with doing that.
Jesse, I sent the email to Alexandra the other day. She responded, and that was one of the things that was fantastic. I appreciate the way you responded quickly, and like she said, and I agree, we're very close, and you feel strongly about going and looking into the things that you want to look into and simplifying it. I think we're extremely close. Good.
Well, it's not so much what I want to do. It's what this you're the legislator, so I just need guidance as to what exactly you're looking for. So if you're looking for something that's simpler, less burdensome on your business owners, then we might consider tailoring this what's currently in front of you right now.
Yes.
I'm ready. I would be ready to go with the East Hampton law with by resolution. The board is able to add, certain art that we can add to the we call our pre-approved list, so that we can approve certain artwork without maybe going to the A or B. So if they go to the art center, they can bypass A or B approval by our resolution with certain artwork. That's just one change I'd like to see. Other than that, as long as we use the East Hampton law with their and get their permission to use their artwork and display, I'm completely fine with that. And then I'd be ready to vote yes on this. So that's what I'd like to see happen.
Thank you.
Any other comments here?
I mean, I agree. I think that we've looked at this for a little while, but every time it's come up, we've progressed forward. And so I think we're getting to a point where we're very close on being able to agree on where we want to be. To Trustee Yastrzemski's point, he'd like to see the rewording of everything so that he can look at it and understand. And once he does that, then he would be. And I think it's the same. Let's look and see. And if it is just adopting East Hampton and then adding in your idea about, I wouldn't just make it the Southampton Arts Center. I'd make it the Cultural Center. I'd make it the Southampton Artists Association. I'd try to use as many people and things that we have out there and stuff for photography or art or all of it. That could be on a pre-approved list. I think that would be very wise.
All right, just maybe email us the suggestions for anything you'd like to see in that list. And that should be good.
Tuesday, we've got an art districts meeting, and I will talk with them and make sure that it is a discussion item for me to bring up who they think, and of course we will choose it, but who they believe would be a good pre-approved list. Because I don't want to be exclusive. I don't want to miss anything. That would,
Okay, thank you. All right, how would you like to move forward? Adjourn it?
The question is, if I'm hearing a consensus that the law that this board is going to adopt is going to be significantly different or different enough than what we have here, and we're confident that that's what's going to happen, it might be best to just close this out.
Yep.
And then you can go from there. So that would be a recommendation.
Okay. All right, with that said, if we're all in favor of that, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing, local law, vacant buildings and storefronts.
For a second.
Second.
Yes. Trustee Allen, all in favor?
Aye.
Allen, it was.
We now have communications to the board. We're very appreciative of the time that we've spent here, and Chris, thank you. The first communication to the board is 30 Bellows Lane, Fire Marshal Dean McNamara. And I guess Chris Talbot, Building Inspector, to jump in here.
Yeah, I'm here in behalf of the Building Department. Dean is part of the Building Department, and he is our Fire Marshal. I'm Chris Talbot, Senior Building Inspector here in the village. You should have some of the paperwork that I had, letter of communications that we sent out to the property owner of 30 Bellows Lane. These parcels, this one in particular, complaints had come to the village board, mayor in particular, and they were relayed to us. And along with Village Codes Chapter 41, which is brush, obnoxious growth, and trash on properties. They're really big quality of life issues. We don't, luckily, too many of them have in the village here. But here's two in particular that we will be discussing tonight. 30 Bellows Lane, just a quick briefing on it. It was a house that burned down there probably 10 years ago now. The property owner had some issues moving forward with reconstruction of the site, insurance issues, contractor, etc. But in the meantime, the property has fully been revegetated on its own. Trees, weeds, etc. They've grown out to the village streets. If you can narrow on the other one, that's...
No, it's the one on the bottom, Charlie. Thank you, that one, yes.
Yeah. And that's looking at it. The top left is looking at it from the northwest corner, looking eastward, southeastward. To the right is looking at it from the north side, Bellows Lane. And then just below that is looking at it looking easterly from the west side of the property. You can see obviously it's grown over, and it has created a lot of complaints from neighbors in the village to this property in particular. There's some new construction going on that block. It is a blight. And so the village board has the ability to clean these properties up at our expense. The code is in front of you. 41-4, responsibility of the landowners. And I'll just quickly read it. For the protection of the residents of the village of Southampton, it should be the duty of all owners of land in the village to maintain their properties in such a manner as to properly control the growth of brush, grass, hedges, weeds, and the accumulation of rubbish thereon. 41-2, and this is what we have sent them, communication, notice to cut or remove. In this particular property, this has been going on, as I said, for probably 10 years, but the latest communication to them was on November 7th. And we have got no compliance on the property at all, cleaned it up, and I was back there again today, and it is still in disarray and overgrown. You guys would have to pass a resolution to move forward with the cleanup. It would be our Parks Department, I imagine, and Highway Department that would go there and clean the property entirely. As discussed in 41-3 there, This would be, the charge would be placed on their taxes, and then same recovery rate that we do now. I think that these properties are current on their taxes, so the charge would be placed on the tax roll. That's Bellows Lane. Does anybody have any questions on that one?
Well, first, I just wanted to thank you for doing this. This is part of this administration's objective, is to make sure we can identify every single blighted property in the village that looks like this, and we want to make sure that it doesn't sit like this anymore. This actually came to my attention because Phyllis, who lives on Bellows Lane, reached out to us, and we wanted to help her and look out for her, and this is her neighboring property. So ultimately, I just wanted to thank you for your hard work in identifying the code, taking the time out to do it. Deputy Village Attorney Halsey Storch, I want to thank you too, because you have worked extremely hard, not just on this, but on identifying other properties that we have tonight. And our goal really is to make sure that we preserve the nice quality of our village and work hard to use our code as it is to do this. And then when we need updates to our code, we'll work on that too, and that's coming. So in any case, I just wanted to thank everybody for all the hard work involved, and then take any comments or questions from the board. Gentlemen, Kimberly, do we have any questions? Okay.
No, I think the same thing.
All right.
Good job on that, Chris, with, again, expediting this.
Yeah, and obviously,
getting
Dean McNamara followed up on this one for Bellows Lane. The next one we'll talk about is Eel Pot Alley, and I just have a couple additional photos. So, Eel Pot Alley. This is 134 Eel Pot Alley. Pretty certain that this property is in foreclosure. It's been problematic for a couple of years now. The photo there on the bottom left is looking down a driveway from Eel Pot Alley, looking northward. You can see the growth, obviously. That's a lot of it is bamboo. And as I was there today, I saw a squirrel climb out of the tree on the right-hand side and crawl into the eaves of the house. So the thing is, got squirrels in there, and I don't know if raccoons are in there as well, but yeah, that's looking directly down the driveway there on the left. So overgrown. The photo to the right, as you scan out, is looking down Eel Pot Alley. Eel Pot Alley is a private road, not maintained by us. However, the growth is growing out on the left-hand side there. It's probably grown over, I had photos back from 2007 on that property when it was still cleaned up, but it's grown out probably 10 feet into the right-of-way, and I'm surprised we hadn't gotten more complaints on that. That's bamboo again, privet hedge and such. But we've had no response on a communication from 104 Eel Pot or 134 Eel Pot Alley. We had notice to them back in October of 2019, October 21st. Again, on December 3rd, I sent notice to them, and we have had no response from them. The taxes are being paid currently, and this is one that's is in dire need of being cleaned up. It affects mostly the school to the north side of it, and as I stated, the residents around it aren't really complaining, but it is a problem. It is a violation of the Village Code, Chapter 41.
Are we looking to go in and just clean up the brush or do any demolition of the structure itself?
The structure itself is falling apart. It does have holes in the windows. When I was there in the summer months, there was growth growing through the windows. It's an old house. It's got single pane windows in there, and the vines are just actually growing right into the house. It's got several holes on the front of the house where squirrels, as I stated, are climbing in and out of there. But right now, the intent is just clean up the property.
Is there a way via our code to actually demo this house if we still cannot get any response from owner, if it turns out a bank owns this and they don't want to do anything? And I say that simply because this actually came in from Sister Kathy, a principal of Our Lady of the Hamptons. She was delighted that we put this on the agenda tonight, and we want to make sure that the kids at OLH are safe. They actually call this, the students call this the zombie house, but ultimately this affects the safety of the students, and I would, of course, want to pass this resolution tonight to move forward, but I'd love to take this a step further.
Yeah, it would be a little more difficult, obviously, to go in there and demo the house. Somebody is paying the taxes on it, whether it be the homeowner or the bank, but Alexandra could give you more information on that. I think it would just be, right now, we're looking to clean it up, and hopefully we'll get some response from somebody at some point, and we can make a further determination if we go forward with tightening up the building or demoing it.
Okay.
You know that
Something
when
I'll
I was
look
with the town, there was funding available. The county had zombie homes money available, so that's maybe an avenue also that whether this qualifies or not, we'd have to see, but there's also potential to make the house safe or make some changes with funding that would come from another source.
All right. Thank you.
Okay? All good?
There is one other home. I might as well take the time now to bring it to your attention. We emailed about there's a home on North Main Street that seems to be falling down. We could talk about that one later, but just to get that back on your radar, we should try to do our best to clean that one up as well. And as these come in, as our residents and stakeholders identify them, we'll work on it. We should also make the effort to go and see if there's any other homes that suit this. But when our residents and our stakeholders want this, and if we can identify more, we'll keep on going. But we'll let you know when they come up. The next one we can talk about at the next board meeting.
Yeah, I got a couple more in our scope. And North Main Street, the owner flew in today to New York at 2:30. He'll be out here. He's supposed to be out here this evening. So hopefully we have communication with him face-to-face tomorrow.
All right. I'd love to be there. Don't let him go back to Austria without me meeting with him. and I'd love to just get in front of him.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I told you, Chris, I speak German and 2 dialects in Austrian, so I'm happy to be there too.
I think he speaks perfect English, so it should be all right.
I just want to know what's going on.
All right, so we actually need to pass some resolutions. So I don't know if Chris, you wanted to advise us or Alexandra, but ultimately on chapter 41.1, can pull up the code. We just need to, Russell, do you know?
Or 41.3, because we're actually.
Yeah, it's 41.
We're acting on default by owner, so 41.3 would be the resolution to authorize.
You probably would want them to be separate resolutions?
Yes.
Okay, I would say that we would be resolved that the village board deems that the property at 134 Eel Pot Alley is in default as defined under Chapter 41, and whereas we have been given proper notice as deemed by the code, that the village will put its village staff to clean the grass, trim and remove rubbish as defined in the code, and those costs to be borne by the property owner by adding it onto their tax bill. And I think what we would,
I think we were just going to do upon 10 days written notice from this board.
Okay.
I would just add that.
Okay.
To the resolution.
So, right, so what I would say is I think we covered every kind of verbiage, but we'll clean the language up and do a little editing, but I think we hit all the points we need to do to move forward. Okay.
Would you mind, do we need to state that again, or is that?
No, I think we did. I think
okay.
As long as we got all of those words in there, we'll take them out of craftabilities and put them into legal terms.
All right. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. It looked like all in favor?
Aye. And then don't forget we have Bellows also.
Yes. So be it resolved that whereas notice was given to the property owner and that the village board has been notified by the senior building inspector of the default and obnoxious growth and trash as explained in Chapter 41 of Village Code, that the board is resolved that they will instruct the village's DPW staff to clean and cut as needed. The board will first give 10 days notice to the property owner prior to, and the cost of such, all costs borne by the village to do such will be passed on to the property owner on a lien on its next tax bill.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So Russell, I appreciate your ability to help us get through that.
Yep.
I think maybe lesson learned is we can just put on the agenda this way. We can just ease through it. But thank you. That was a good job. Thank you. Okay. We have the third communication to the board, which is signature signs, authorization to install signs on trestle.
So we have a letter here from the owner of Signature Signs. The Village of Southampton does not install signs on the, which side of the?
North side.
North
On the
side.
north side of the railroad trestle.
Facing 39.
So once there is permission to use the trestle, and they're using that side of the signs, the organization that is looking to place a banner calls us and asks who are the authorized sign shops that the village has authorized to do so. Currently, we have two, right? One is Fisher and the other
Fisher
is...
Signs and T-shirts and Hampton Signs.
And Hampton Signs. What we obligate them to do is to give us a certificate of liability insurance, holding the village harmless and having us as an additionally named insured on a $1 million occurrence, $2 million aggregate insurance, liability insurance policy. And we do some background. I was able to ascertain that Mr. Dratch actually, we'll say, former employee of Fisher Signs, and quite often was given the assignment to install the signs. So his now competitor, actually, recommended and said he felt as though, as much as he'd like to have all the business, it would be unfair to give a poor recommendation. So it is up to the village to authorize Signature Signs as an authorized sign installer on the railroad trestle.
So he doesn't have a particular project in mind, he just wants to be added as an approved vendor.
He actually
so to
has a
speak.
client that has asked him for the next time that they're going up. I have a feeling it's relatively soon.
Okay.
Yeah, you haven't gotten a request. I think probably because they're waiting to see.
And I think it's worth noting that the reason this is even necessary is because I think people are accustomed to seeing banners on the south side facing the village business district, because you can access that you can walk to it. So we do it our own employees do it, and people. So that's why you normally see it on the south side, no issue, no problem. North side can only be accessed by bucket, and we don't do that. A lot of people in the past have come to us, put a banner up, and like, well, that's not our job as a village entity to put. So that's why we now have private people say, sure, you can use the north side. You bear the cost of installing it. And that's why this is here.
The other interesting thing just to note is that he worked for Fisher Signs.
That's
Ron
interesting.
Fisher originally worked for Hampton Signs. So originally Hampton Signs was the only one that had authority in Cullum before. And then Ron went out on his own, asked for permission. So now one of his employees is going out on his own and again.
Okay.
So it's just as expanded.
Capitalism at its finest. Okay.
So if there are no further questions, I would...
One quick,
are
there any additional rules or regulations around this? Do we have limits on how many people we could approve? Just curious.
Generally, there's not. What I would say is that if we ever got to the point where we had a significant number of companies that were interested, that we would put some process in place. I don't know what that number is. If you get to 5 people who want to do it, or something like that, or 7, I don't know what the number would be, but we give all 3 names, or right now 2, but we give. And clearly, it's the organization's choice. I think the more choices we can give an organization that's putting something up on the trestle, the more competitive the price, the better it is for most of it's charitable organizations and such that are putting signs up. So. And
most organizations already have their relationships.
Right.
So they already know who they want to go to, but there are some that just come to us and ask.
And he is aware of the protocol that we do not provide the bucket and the machinery to install it.
All we do is if an organization comes, and they say who is permitted, I give them now 3 names, and then they give the rest of them, making sure when they get a letter saying when they can put that up and when it must come down, and that's it.
And Russell, we have a bonding process if that trestle fell on anybody. I mean, if that, we have, I know, not the trestle, but the
banner.
The banner.
Yes,
Okay.
That's
the insurance.
What I'd like to do, because this is the first one that I've done, since I've been here, I would like to take a look as to whether or not we enter into any, agreements other than the fact that, we are named as an additional insured, but, I don't know belts and suspenders wise, whether we would want to have, something a little more.
I'd have to look into it.
Structured, yeah. So.
From a liability standpoint.
Yeah, I think it's a.
Okay.
So, my recommendation would be he would be in an even playing field with everyone else who already is authorized, and that if we wanted to make a recommendation to again make the protocol even more structured, that we could come back to the village and do that at another time. Is that good with you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are there any additional next steps, or is that?
No, I think the next step would be to entertain a motion to resolve that Signature Signs be an authorized sign company to hang signs on the north side of the railroad trestle on North Sea Road.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, so we now move forward with suggested resolutions. We can move forward, Russell, with the first, just to give the people attending here a heads up. We've probably got about 20, 25 minutes or so here before we go to comments from board members, just so you can plan your evening. With that being said, Russell, please take it from here.
Before we start, just prior to the meeting, this was printed and posted, I got a call from the fire department manager, and we are not going to entertain or bring forth resolution number 4. It is not ready. So so you'll notice that I will skip over that. First resolution resolved that the reading of the minutes for the special meeting of December 3rd, 2019 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, and that the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion to resolve that the claims for the warrants dated December 12th, 2019, equaling $184,539.01, warrant number 10, general fund, $2,066,767.61, warrant number 7, capital reserve fund, $492.87, warrant number 2, CS Trust, $328.57, warrant number 12, trust and agency, and the village payroll for the period of November 22nd, 2019 to December 12th, 2019 be audited and approved. Is there a second?
Second.
On to invoices, general disbursements. Atlantic Coast Embroidery, $1,366.12. That's uniforms for the K-9 unit. Carlin Jacks, $1,940.61. Boots, gloves, clothing for multiple departments. Cast Productions, $2,835. Videographer for the village. Coastal Fire Systems, $14,914.60, rescue equipment for the fire department. Cook Marin and Associates, $19,928, that's fire department accident insurance. CSEA Employee Benefit Fund, $31,936.96, that's dental and vision. First Presbyterian Church, $3,000, it's parking lot rental. Fundamental Business Services, $6,934.50, that's collection services for Justice Court. $2,002.87, that's Granger for supplies for various departments. Herrick Hardware, $1,492.13, monthly hardware bill for the village. Integrated Wireless Technology, $1,003.49, repair to wireless phones. Johnson Electrical Construction Corporation, $1,420, electric traffic light services. Messiano Consulting, $8,123.43, grant writing and consulting services. Meyer Swazi English, $1,329.41, that's a SCAR settlement. Morgan Auto Supply, $3,563.90, auto supplies for the fleets. Nelson Pope and Voorhees, $9,207.50, engineering, consulting, and planning for the village board and other administrative boards. Norsec & Son, $6,381.42, that's waste removal. Optimum, $1,856.66, that's cable and internet charges. Priority Dispatch, $1,680, software license renewal for the police department. PSE&G, $4,762.62, that's electric. Thomas Reed, $1,342.27, that's a SCAR settlement. Rico's Clothing, $2,576.80, that's fire department clothing. RPX Technologies, $5,062.40, that's Hypersight infrared cameras for the fire department. St. Ambrose Restaurant and Bar, $1,860. That's for the East End Supervisors and Mayors meeting. There will be a resolution to follow authorizing this expenditure as well. South Fork Asphalt, $3,240. That's 20 yards of RCA for the Highway Department. Sprague Operating, $5,233.80. That's fuel for the fleet. TJ's Transmissions, $3,912.60. That's a transmission replacement for a fire department Tahoe. Verizon, $7,591.14. Telephone services. Verizon Wireless, $1,783.80. That's wireless for the village. WG Service, $1,287. That's an HVAC contract for the Hampton Road Firehouse. Moving on to capital disbursements. Erase Design, $12,500. That's Moses Lane Capital Project. Coastal Fire Systems, Inc., $5,314. That's equipment as authorized by a village board resolution. Eagle Chevrolet, $30,732.70. It's a Chevrolet Traverse for the police department, also authorized by a village board resolution. Morton Builders, Inc., $402,534.66. General contractors' expenses at the ambulance barn. Rollins Electric, $36,836.25. That's electrical work at the ambulance barn. Rosenbauer, Minnesota, $1,578,850. That's the fire truck that you was described to you earlier tonight. Are there any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees, entertain a motion, resolved that the Board of Trustees ratifies the expenditures associated with hosting the East End Supervisors and Mayors Conference on Wednesday, December 11, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves Kenneth Lockhart Sr. as a probationary member in the Southampton Hose Company No. 1, effective December 12, 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to sign an agreement with Eagle Fire Emergency Vehicles.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
As a discussion, as we discussed during the fire department presentation, this is the agreement in which they are going to give us an $18,000 check. When the work is complete, we're going to give them the $18,000 back. Entertain all in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor to sign a contract with Motorola Solutions for the purchase of a computer-aided dispatch and records management system programs at a cost of $371,607. This capital project was approved at a prior village board meeting.
So moved. Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby proclaims certain Cooper's Beach equipment be deemed surplus and authorizes the DPW superintendent to auction through Auctions International.
Which equipment?
There's pictures in the back of the resolutions. Yeah, is there a motion?
Okay.
Second? Second. Okay, the pictures are in the back of the resolutions. There's a pretzel display warmer, a dry ice caddy, one warming rack, 2 panini makers, and 1 retail case.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion whereas the village received a donation of a commercial exhaust hood and ansel system for use at the ambulance facility on Windmill Lane, and whereas after consultation with the project engineer, the cost of fabrication of the donated hood would exceed the cost of a new installation, therefore be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby proclaims model number 482 4ND2 PSPF exhaust hood and ansel system be deemed surplus and authorizes the DPW superintendent to auction through Auctions International.
So moved.
There is second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the following holiday schedule for 2020. Martin Luther King's birthday, Monday, January 20th. President's Day, Monday, February 17th. Memorial Day, Monday, May 25th. Independence Day, Monday, July 5th. Labor Day, Monday, September 7th. Columbus Day, Monday, October 12th. Veterans Day, Wednesday, November 11th. Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, November 26th. Day after Thanksgiving Day, Friday, November 27th. Half day for Christmas Eve, Thursday, December 24th. Christmas Day, Friday, December 25th. Half day for New Year's Eve, Thursday, December 31st. New Year's Day, Friday, January 1, 2020, and 2 floating holidays to be used during the calendar year.
Quick question.
Moved?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I have questions.
No.
Second.
Second, and now you go.
Wait, you moved it. Can I have a second? Can I have a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Questions?
Is this the same calendar as last year? And if so, or if not, what are the changes? Just curious.
Okay, so the listing of the dates are as prescribed in our collective bargaining agreements. Okay, the selection of the days, I mean, you know, it is always on the day of the holiday. If the holiday falls on a weekend, it is the village's prerogative to place the holiday on either the Friday before or the Monday after the actual holiday. And I believe Monday is the 6th of July. So I will make that Scrivener's correction.
So my only comment is, we as a village have that prerogative, but at the federal and state level, if the holiday falls on a Saturday, the official holiday is taken on that Friday.
That is correct. So we've had a practice here. I'm sorry, were you finished?
I have an additional comment after you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
after
realized.
you continue.
Okay. So the last time Independence Day fell on a Saturday, the village board, after discussion, chose to pick the Monday as opposed to the Friday. For those of you who have not experienced what the Friday before
I was here when we did that.
4th of July weekend, we actually have to have kegs and a couple other police officers come here. It is just, you know, a completely full house. And I think for the benefit of our residents, our beachgoers, the folks who pay a considerable amount of money to come and use our beach and beaches, it is, you know, it is thought to be in the best interest of those people that we make the official holiday on Monday, July 6th.
And therefore be accessible to people to buy their passes on a Friday. I mean, I was there. I was there for that. The discussion was, and it was brought up by, I believe, by the mayor at the time, like, how can we possibly close down on a Friday, even though the holiday and all that, but people are arriving, you have to parade, they're arriving, that's their time to get here, and you know, how would they arrive and have Village Hall closed? So that's how that came about, and that was just the one time I've seen. And the workers and the staff are, the most important part about this is that the staff is fine with it. was broached, it was brought to their attention first, and if there was any real pushback, from, as a collective bargaining part of that, they would have told us, and they said they were fine with it. So that's the important.
My only comment was, are we consistent with the rest of the East End, like the town? I don't know what the town does.
We would not be consistent with the town, but we don't necessarily have a consistent schedule with the town. They have Good Friday off. We don't have Good Friday off. They have, so these holidays themselves are collectively bargained. We are given a choice of the day when it's on a weekend. And you make the decision based upon an operational need in most cases.
I mean, Anna closed the dump one day because, for whatever reason.
Correct.
I remember that.
Correct. And they have a holiday schedule that because of for the same reason, their transfer stations have a different holiday schedule than the rest of their employees to meet the same thing. They're open on Labor Day. Yeah, they're open on Labor Day as opposed to the rest of the town that is closed, so.
I just wanted to make sure that, obviously, your point's a good one. We want to be the most service-oriented, welcome to the village, and it achieves that. But I just hope everybody knows we're open for business because...
Oh, they know.
They know.
Because we've heard...
I think we should put the communication in our newsletter in the spring, though, to make sure, because a lot of people may assume we're closed like everybody else is.
We
That's
take
all.
ads out for Coopers for beach permits. We will put that also in the
Okay,
ad for
great.
the beach permits as well.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, so no other further questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have comments from board members. Deputy Mayor Yastrzemski, you can kick this one off.
Well, I just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Coming, the village looks awesome. Thank you all the workers that have done a tremendous job as usual to make our village look incredible. I would like to say that I think tonight's meeting was, having sat in quite a few myself, it was a little different than usual. We had some discussion, and but the one thing I want to point about that to the public is that was a healthy thing. What may have appeared as a part of disarray or discord, which there was discord, but how it was handled and the discussion that ensued from it, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what I saw transpire from this board, because as I've been pointed out many times from my fellow board members and people in the public, I am the senior board member currently, and the old man, whatever, I've been called many things. And I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot of operations, different board members, different backgrounds. And what we have here is a new board collectively. We all know that. 3 new members in at one time. It's been a long time since we've had that. As a matter of fact, the last time you had something like that, you did have rifts. You did have internal rifts. You did have internal discord, disagreement, and you should. It's healthy. When it's not healthy is if it's not remedied in a good way. And that's what I want to say, is that what may appear as some headbutting up here, it wouldn't be human if we didn't see that. I commend every member of this board on here. That may sound condescending. I apologize if it is, but there are a lot of different views. I view this board as an extremely healthy and vibrant package going forward for this village, and everybody sitting in this audience now and watching. And I mean that. There's a lot of different views that I haven't seen in a long time, and it's good and it's healthy. So I commend the board members and going through the motions and being heard and being respectful. And I think that's healthy. So I just want to thank everybody here, and for the people who participated and showed up this evening to show their support by arriving and being heard. That's healthy. So thank our fellow board members, Mayor.
Thank you.
And everybody else involved, our deputy or assistant counsel. We keep going back with what we call you, and certainly Administrator Russ. And with that, everybody have a healthy, happy holiday season.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Trustee Allen.
Couple administrative items. I am applauding Chief Cummings for putting in the Code Red system, which is the state-of-the-art top notification system, I believe, Chief Cummings, in the United States. It's an alert system that's voluntary, And once you sign up for it, you will receive alerts for any emergency situation or severe weather impact situation. And if I've missed something, please feel free to come to the podium. But I know you've been researching this, and we will be working together on taking your guidance and advice on how to get as many people in the village signed up to this system. And Julie, did I miss anything?
No, it will be, we're going to be putting it on our website. I've been working with Lieutenant Wetter to get the exact language and everything up properly. There will be links. You can also, as you see, there's a little QR code there. You'll be able to scan that right on your phone and have the app appear on your phone as well. So there will be a number of different ways to access the information and sign up. And we'll be putting that everywhere.
We can use it for creatively for a number of different things. So that first administrative item out of the way. The second one is I moved 2 months ago and I found a Southampton Press, do not look at the date, but I want to read this little article. Chronically Empty Stores Becoming a Village Problem. Okay, the scene is not unusual in Southampton Village. It is January, after all, the transitional season when business morph and evolve, unseen by the summer crowds that drive the abbreviated fiscal year. Empty storefronts in winter and the resulting game of musical signs are facts of life in many seasonal communities. Then you flip to page A19. A19. You're not
Used to
allowed
ride a
look at the
subway.
date.
Used to ride a subway, I can tell.
Okay, empty storefronts, and once we tell you the date, you can Google the article, but it taught me something. Empty storefronts elsewhere come and go in the lean winter months, but some of the 6 storefronts at the traditional gateway corner to the village's Thank you. At the traditional gateway corner to the village's business district are approaching their 3rd season of vacancy with no sign of tenants able or willing to pay the rent. And it goes on to talk about, landlords demanding exorbitant rents, and Nancy McGann is quoted about several ideas and reaching out to a number of consultants, and I reached out to her today, and she's going to come back to me. But when do you think this article was written? So we have a 1970, we have a 2007. Pretty close. It was actually written 2006, but if you go back 3 years, it meant we've had that problem since 2003. That doesn't mean we can't do a lot, and we are, which I just want to give a quick update on our Business Revitalization Committee. We synced up with everybody, great parade of lights. We're working together on brainstorming more experiential events. We've got a good group of individuals on the team. The village is looking at things that will make the village better: parking, lighting, sewage, partnering with our arts and cultural organizations. This last meeting was focusing on John Lasardo's presentation around a potential website. So we're going to have people come back and say, okay, what's so great about Southampton? Shouldn't we have that on a website so when it Googles, it comes to the top and you see all these great things we can do, not just in June, July, and August, but throughout the entire year. And then we just found out today that we're meeting up with Discover Long Island. They're coming here on January 10th, and we have a subcommittee working with them. If you've ever been to Discover Long Island, they drive 1.4 million viewers, and they drove about 600,000 people to the North Fork. We'd like 600,000. We would like a lot of people coming to the South Fork. But when I Googled Southampton Village and places to stay, the first thing that came up was the parking garage of Southampton Inn. So we have a lot of great opportunity ahead of us. Again, I just wanted to also end on a cheery note. Thank you for your comment. But thank you so much to Gary Gillespie and his team. We were supposed to have a supervisor meeting, and it was canceled because of the snow. He and his team were called out, and at 1:30 in the morning, they cleared all the snow. I don't mean to steal your thunder, but I could see them going back and forth, and they did a great job, and there wasn't a speck of snow on our roads. Today we had our senior holiday party, big success, over 40 attendees, made possible by the Southampton Village Historical Society and all of these wonderful people. Of course, the mayor, the board, everyone, Russell and Julie and all, but a special thanks to Judy Johnson, Lori Collins, Helen Dyken, who was our punch server, Rachel Carmel, Sandra Lust, Liana Mitzi, Peter Nicholas, Bill Sickles, and Santa and the Elf, who we all know who they are. But wishing you all peace and joy.
Thank you very much. Well said. Trustee Parrish.
Thank you. Interesting meeting tonight, and I have a couple things I'd like to speak about. It's come to my attention there are several conversations floating around the community about the state of our board. It's become really frustrating, and I think you've seen that tonight a bit. I mean, a few of the conversations are the trustees are not supporting the mayor and just blocking him and his agenda. The board is in chaos, and some members are deliberately trying to weaken the village and make it lame. There's a lack of communication and transparency between the board and the community. There's no process being followed. It's really disappointing and needs to be addressed. I want to challenge this board to stay away from isolation and tactics that undermine our collective efforts. From this point forward, we need to be better at communicating as a group, better by looking at each member's interests, point of view, and feelings. I care deeply about Southampton Village and took an oath in office in order to fulfill my duties to the best of my ability. This board cannot jeopardize the moral integrity of Southampton Village just for the sake of change. I want to share a poem with you that was given to me from my mother and father when I was a teenager. I read it at my father's funeral and continue to reach for it when I seek wisdom to guide me in a positive direction. It is called If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, but if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubtings too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hate, and yet don't look too good or talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master. If you can think and not make thoughts your aim. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. Or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything in it, and which is more, you'll be a man by my son. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and peace be with you.
Thank you, Trustee Parrish. Next is Trustee Pilaro.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to thank everyone for coming out for the Parade of Lights, the Christmas tree lighting. It was absolutely wonderful. I know it was a big hit again this year. Want to remind everyone that this Saturday at 9 a.m. at Cooper's Beach is the Polar Bear Plunge in support of Heart of the Hamptons. Would love to see as many people out there as possible. You can do it. I will be out there, and hopefully I'm drafting my two sons and a couple of their friends to do it as well. Also, looking forward to the announcement of the holiday window competition coming soon. Want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, as this is our last meeting And also tonight's colors on the tie, good luck to UVA. The Wahoos are playing in the Orange Bowl on December 31st. Unfortunately, I won't be there, but go Hoos.
Thank you, Trustee Polaro. There's a lot to discuss, so I wanted to do a quick updates on a number of things that are going on in the village. Today, we had a very successful meeting with some architects and planners. We brought Lee Mandel out. He's a very prestigious architect and planner to look at our village as a whole. C-Mac Sammy, who put together our former master plan, was there to help. And we had, when we talked about these empty storefronts and what are we going to do, and there's short-term and long-term, and then there's the dream. And the dream, which we kind of made today, was essentially creating various nodes across our village. It was to develop Nugent Street, to include that area and to partner with developers to make housing that's affordable, modestly priced, so that people could afford to live here, and that would obviously require a sewer district. But most importantly, we discussed having a circular node, a circular center like a Vienna Ringstrasse right in the center of our village, based in our art center, and that would connect every street in the village. And so while this is the dream, we're hoping to work with this planner on a sketch for that and an illustration of that, because ultimately we have a vision for our village that could be very vibrant, that could be a hub for many people to be living right in our center, and we think that could be a very interesting way to do it. It's been done in Europe before. It's been done in other cities and villages across the United States. So we look forward down the road to presenting that. I don't know the time frame, but that was our idea today. So that was very exciting. In addition, I spoke with Carrie Gallagher today of the DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation. We'll be having a meeting tomorrow to discuss various ways to clean up our water bodies. There's some new technology, like using sound waves to disturb the harmful algae blooms. So we'll keep you posted with the DEC meeting there. Now, one thing for this board to discuss, it's going to be, once again, it's going to be a difficult conversation. But when I see that article about the vacant storefronts, I keep on getting emails, I'm sure we all do, with merchants suggesting the exploration of a vacancy tax. And simply, this is something that I hope to vote on. It doesn't matter how we fall, but I just hope to vote on that. And ultimately, we had this idea where if there's chronic vacancies, we can provide some type of vacancy tax and then use all monies collected to provide tax incentives to those landlords who are keeping their tenants in place. So that's, again, I'm getting a lot of emails, and a lot of merchants have asked this. So I want to throw this out. I don't want to be afraid to discuss it. Whatever we decide, I'm fine with the result, but I think that that's something that we need to discuss as a board in 2020. In addition, tonight, I was pleased. I happened to have the pleasure of meeting Manny, one of the chiefs at the fire department, and it gave me great pleasure to see the work that was done and the implementation of the new fire truck. But I did want to bring up that that's $1.58 million, and it gives me great pleasure to see that fire truck being built and to see our fire and a team that is the best in the business have that truck. But we need to look into our capital budget. It is being depleted. And we need to have projections as to the way our budget works. We do not have any projections for 2021, 2022, 2023. We have no projections. We have no standardization in the way our budgets are done. So one department does a different budgeting process than another department. One department head might be using Excel. One department might be using paper. One department might be using another program. There's no standardization in the way our budget works. And so that's another goal for 2020. We want to implement new technology. There's software out there that we can do it. And I want every person in this village, every person, regardless in the country, to be able to see our budget. Many cities are on the cutting edge. They're using an open data portal. I'd love to implement that same exact technology so that anyone could go to our website and see every single expense line by line, so they know how much somebody makes, what money is being spent, and I also would like to see these projections moving forward. So that's something that I think is a goal for 2020. I'd love to work with this board to do that, but I think it's critical. That might mean bringing additional people into place to help us put that have technology experience, and I think that's something that we'd like to do. In addition, I just wanted to thank Deputy Mayor Yastrzemski. Deputy Mayor has more experience than every single person on this board combined. And for me, he has been the light moving forward here, because I don't think without his experience, we'd be able to get through this. He knows, he has the institutional knowledge, he has seen everything over the last decade plus, and we would be in big trouble without him. So we are very happy to have him on board. I cannot be thankful enough for your guidance and advice and helping steer me in the right direction. I think I want to get things done. I want to push things forward, but I also turn to Rich for guidance, and he helps give me the right way of moving forward. Most of the time, I do listen to him, but it's critical. And I just wanted to say to Rich, I have no idea what your plans are. But if at any point you plan on retiring, this village needs you. We would welcome, I would welcome you, I hope we would welcome you to join us in some capacity, because we will need you. And I just want to make that clear. We need Rich. He has been a light, at least for me, on this board, and I really appreciate that. And so I'll close to wish everyone a happy holidays, and I will. Well, borrow a quote. I'm a big student of history, and I'll borrow a quote from JFK when he quoted some ancient Greek philosophers when he said that happiness is the pursuit of our goals in the pursuit of excellence. And for me, this job keeps me happy on a daily basis, because the pursuit of excellence is what we're trying to achieve here. So I value that quote. And there's actually one other thing I forgot to mention, or maybe two. Pastor Leslie of the United Methodist Church is hosting an event Saturday, December 14th, 2009, 1 p.m. at the North Sea Tavern. And this is an event called Pay It Forward that is used, the money will be going to help with our homelessness problems locally as well as nationwide. And the one thing I wanted to add here is that it's a serious problem, not just around the country, right here at home in Southampton. There's many factors around it, largely out here due to the rising cost of living. Every year it gets more and more expensive to live out here. There's nowhere to live that's affordable. Wages are not increasing at the rate of the price of real estate and the rate at the price of everything else. And so there's a lot of people I just want to recognize in light of this event that are paycheck to paycheck, and they're one injury, one disability, one sickness away from potentially being in that situation. So I just would want to encourage everybody to attend, and that we're a village of extremes here, and would just like to recognize that and thank Pastor Leslie for her help here. I don't know if there's something else to read here.
That was handed to me.
Okay.
This is, the poster there is from the town of Southampton. It's something they are doing for New Year's Eve with the addiction task force, and they've just asked.
Charlie, we got this here.
Charlie over there.
We can put it on the table if need be.
Put it on the table.
I'll pass this down. So with that said, thank you very much to this board for getting through today. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to executive session. And with that said, prior to moving to the adjournment to executive session, we have a second public comment. So if anyone would like to step forward.
Patiently waiting.
Thank you, Valerie Hart.
Thank you, Valerie.
Yeah, Valerie Hart, 218 Corrigan Street. I wanted to speak on the Moses property, and I just want you to go slowly and to look at it very cautiously and to look at the traffic that's in the area. Originally, it was supposed to, when it was first adopted, they said it was going to be a passive park. Mayor Epley said that. And then we came out with this very elaborate plan for it. I know there are some that would like a tennis court, there's some that would like a bocce court, but I'm asking you to really study the property, to look and see what's been done with it so far. and to take into the traffic mainly into consideration. There's another little park that's about a few blocks away. It's connected with another development, and it's in the village. And there used to be a court there for playing a handball, and it's right next to North Captain next Lane. It's a big piece of property. It's in the village. There used to be this handball court there, and no one used it. It disintegrated. So I'm saying to take into consideration the money, what you can do. Nothing says that it has to be a major park. It can be a passive park, because there's nothing in the contract with the CPF fund that says it has to be anything else. But I'm just saying, take your time, look at it cautiously, see what you want to do. Take all the input from everyone that lives in the village, what they think, and see what you come up with. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have another comment.
We have some more public comment. Karina, thank you for waiting.
Hi. So I'm Karina Hildebrand. I met you all 2 weeks ago. My address.
So just please sit down. Yeah.
Oh, so I have a pop-up store at 38 Jobs Lane.
Thank you. Very good.
So I've just been encouraged to sort of share my experience. As I explained last time, I've taken the store for 3 months, and I'm hoping and trying very much to make Southampton my base for my business. And so I'm currently in the process of trying to hold on to the store or find another one. And so I'm so happy to hear that the store situation is very much on the forefront of all of your minds. One of the things, I'm going to keep the conversation very general, because obviously, you know, I'm in a position where I'm negotiating. And I just wonder whether estate agents have been brought into the conversation at all. Because, you know, in general, and it's not just a problem in Southampton, I think it's in New York as well, it seems that the landlords are not very visible and connected with the community. I mean, there don't seem to be many here. And the estate agents of those landlords are obviously, it's their responsibility to make as much money for the landlords as possible. And as somebody trying to find a base here, I don't want to just be here in the boom months. I'm committing to be here for at least 9 months of the year, even 10 possibly. But it's a difficult situation to be in, where I'm the landlords are sort of seem to be willing to take a chance on to wait for very high rent in the summer months. They don't seem to be interested in supporting the overall picture and trying to help people who want to commit to the town and become part of the town, and help to boost and improve the sort of the situation of sort of empty storefronts. And I just wonder if there's any way that the village can provide some support to businesses trying to negotiate and find a place in the town. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of share my experience. It seems that, you know, generally speaking, the landlords are not asking whether you're going to be open for 9 months or 10 months, or whether you're just going to be open for 3. They don't seem to take that into consideration at all. And I just wonder whether, you know, if you could have a meeting with the estate agents to explain to them how urgent it is that they try and encourage the landlords to be open to negotiating more and helping the community by welcoming people who are sort of, willing to commit to the town for a longer, for not just the sort of the boom time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you taking your time on this evening to come forward. Well, Valerie, we have a few more people who would like to speak, and then we can give you a second opportunity. Bonnie, would you like to step forward, or Lydia? Okay, you're closest. And Christine, are you willing to? Would you like to speak as well? Okay, thank you.
Lydia Bonner, 72 Windward Way. And I am a product of this community. I am one of the children where the community raised the child. It's not like that anymore. I just recently retired from Southampton Public Schools, and I still work there, so I'm very, very involved in the community, radio, whatever you call it. And what happened here tonight, I'm actually kind of embarrassed. It was like a reality TV show. And I'm like, you get one chance to make impressions on people. And the world that we live in is a digital world. I'm afraid to see what the paper's going to say. And Trustee Parrish, like you said, the conversations that are in the community, but it looks like it's true after what we saw tonight. I'm glad that Trustee Yastrzemski, said that everything worked out. And it is good. Everybody's adults. You agree to disagree. But as leaders of this village and this community, when you come before the people that you lead, you have to be in a professional. You can't let your emotions get the best of you. We look up to you. We look up to you to run this thing for us. Unfortunately, the world that we live in, they feed off negativity, and they'll take it to another level. They'll make it something that it really wasn't. So we're here to see what happened, and we're here to see how you guys disagree, but you were able to actually come together, and but everybody didn't see that, so there's no telling what's going to happen. But I just encourage you guys to just, I know it's not easy. Like you said, you have people from different backgrounds. Change is hard. Sometimes change is good. Sometimes it's not. The world that we live in is completely different now than how it was when I was going to Southampton High School. So I just, I'm proud of every one of you, and I just want to encourage you that, like, from now on, somehow, some way, if you have a disagreement, you absolutely cannot let your emotions get the best of you in front of the people that you lead. Whatever's going on in D.C., that's D.C. This ain't D.C. This is the village of Southampton, and we have standards that we've always had, and we have legacies. And so I just want to encourage you guys, as we move forward, just keep that in mind. Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much, Lydia.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there additional public comment? Okay, come on down. Thank you for waiting.
I don't have to touch it. Okay. All right. I'm Bonnie Cannon, 54 Miller Road in Southampton. There's a couple of things that were mentioned this evening, and I just wanted to make a statement on it, and maybe I can get an answer. Just as a suggestion, I know that there was discussion regarding the zombie houses, and also there was discussion as possible, I know that Chris is working on, and he talked about where you may look at reaching out, where you're going to reach out to the homeowners, maybe look at possibly seeing if you can demolish it or go forward with that. I would just ask you to consider, since we did talk about homelessness, we talked about the need for affordable housing, to possibly look at ways in which you may be able to work with the homeowner and with maybe government agencies or whoever. You mentioned that there is some type of funding that may be available with the zombie houses, but there may be a way that you can look at all of that, working with the owner, and come up with some affordable housing solutions from a situation that is maybe a bad situation, and turn it into something good, and also meet the needs of the community, the homelessness, the affordable housing that's needed here, affordable rent. So I just wanted to say that may be a consideration that you can look at there. The other thing, when he talked about the parks and what's happening at Moses Lane, and I think it was mentioned that with the parks that one park was never used. That may be something because a lot of people don't know the parks that are available that are in the community. I don't know if you put that information in your newsletter. You may want to start putting that in your newsletter so the community does know which parks are public parks that the village can possibly utilize. You also may want to look at reaching out to some of our local organizations, especially our youth. Our youth right now don't have things to do, and this may be they could start some type of programs and things throughout the village for that to take place in some of our public facilities. I just wanted to mention that. And then I have questions regarding, I don't know, did Lola Prentice, did the basketball court, where are we with that? Has that opened up? Have we started utilizing that? Because I have not heard anything since I came before this board when Mayor Irving was the mayor.
It's open, it's being used.
It is being used?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to see it used a little more often, but I do think there was some leagues, working on being formed.
Okay, so because that was more of my question as far as was the leagues developed?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, quite honestly, Bonnie, but I don't know.
Because I thought that the police department was going to be working to create leagues for that. And then the other thing that the last thing that I wanted to talk about as far as with the positions that you're looking at right now, there was a time, and it's been many, many years. Do you have your organizational, the types of meetings where you look at the budget and you look more or less at the positions? Because I know there were times where we looked at the positions and looked to see which positions we were going to keep and then which positions we were not going to keep, looked at the salaries that were associated with those positions to see if we were going to take away those positions or do things like that. And so, I don't know if that was done or if there was a time where you look at the budget and reallocate and do that type of thing. But sometimes it's better to look at it that way versus looking at, certain individuals in sort of in that way. Certainly, Mimi, she is definitely a great worker, and she, is definitely somebody that deserves a promotion if something is out there. But I just was wondering if you take the people out and just look at the positions and where you're doing it and how you're splitting up the positions, that sort of thing. Of course, and how the mayor, what his needs are as far as for the organization and reorganizing, and that is what the mayor is our leader does. And if the mayor is our leader does, and the board needs to look at that entire organization, the new organization, what we're doing with the new organization, and take out, what the individuals are and what the needs are for this community, for all of the organizations. So I think, those are my comments that I had to make. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was extremely well said, and we appreciate your guidance. Thank you, Bonnie. Is there additional public comment? Okay, Francis, come on down.
I would just like to tie up some loose ends. My name again, Frances Genovese. I live at 209 Bishop's Lane, and living there every night, I am subjected to the glare and the danger of the trade parade, which has now come down Moses Lane past your quote park site, which there was a lot of garbage on until recently. About the park, I'm interested in the finances, how much this plan costs, who maintains it, for how long, and what kind of impact on the neighborhood is there going to be. There's noise, and it seems to me it's way too dense. I would like to echo much of what Bonnie Cannon said, in that if you're going to streamline your budget process and you're going to look at the budget, I think that it's time. This village is 22 square miles, is that right?
No. 6.4.
24 square miles. I think that should be looked at, despite the legacy and everything else that comes along with it, the sentimentality, the gridlock. I think what you should look at is the cost of running it. It's too high. And one of the things that I would suggest, since I'm in the Grinch mood for Christmas, is that you had better look to cutting some salaries. Some of the salaries that we've seen when we've foiled them are outrageous. you could run Washington, D.C. practically on some of the salaries that you give. And I just would like to say on a personal note that discord is not always healthy. If you take a look at the impeachment hearing and you take a look at it on a local, discord is often a strategy. And that, and making that distinction, the optics of it, the people in the audience, people will make that distinction. So to across the board say, discord is always, it may have been for you, and it may produce something. I hope it does. I look at it with quite a more jaundiced eye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis. Okay, with that said, is there any additional? Yes.
Valerie Hart, Corrigan Street. I just want to bring up, it's the cost, and that could be substantial. So I think that's a very good thing to look at. And I'd look at to see who's going to manage it if it gets too large. That's another thing. Less is better.
Thank you, Valerie.
So,
okay.
I would like to, if I could.
I'd prefer at this point, is there any additional public comment? I would like to make a motion to adjourn. We've got discuss personnel matters with the chief of police. I'd love to get to that. And we could chat. But with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing specific village personnel, legal, and contractual matters.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.